I'll speak on the role of People's Association, PA. I share the sentiments expressed by the Honourable Member Silver Lim as far back as the 2016 COS debate regarding the PA's huge budget and unclear mandate. Despite the queries of many non-PAP members subsequent to that, many questions remain unanswered. First, the question of why the PA is allocated such a huge budget. To put things in perspective, the PA's operating expenditure in FY 2021 is $589 million with 2,565 staff. In comparison, IRAS running costs are $432 million with 2,050 staff, and GovTech's $403 million, 3,610 staff. So PA's cost per staff is even higher than that of IRAS and GovTech, which are supposed to have a higher proportion of professional staff. Furthermore, from actual expenditures of FY 2020, PA has spent only $199 million, which is about 30% of its running cost on activities and projects, with the balance $441 million, which is 70% of its running cost, spent on administration. Why is such an expensive administration structure needed when the main job of PA is to be a bridge between the government and the citizens? And much of the work of the PA is carried out by the grassroots volunteers and volunteer worker organizations. We wholeheartedly support the hard work put up by the staff and the volunteers of PA to strengthen the social fabric of our country. However, is there more that we can do to redefine the role of PA at a higher level and to ensure that the funds are deployed in areas that help our needy Singaporeans most? We would like to know the proportion of PA's leaders, staff, and volunteers who are members of any political party. If it is so heavily funded by taxpayers' money, we wish that the PA is a real organization for the people, with its leadership and membership not skewed towards any political party. In view of the recent debate on the CDC, we would also like to know the CDC's budget as a percentage of the PA's budget.
The pandemic brought to the fore the critical role of the People's Association, and I note Mr Leong Mun Wai's related comment. As a statutory board, PA's mission is to build up the cohesiveness of our population, a reserve of social capital and goodwill that is built on trust between people and the government. This is accumulated during peacetime so that we are in a good position when crisis, such as the one we are going through right now, hits us. We didn't know when the pandemic will strike, but when it did, PA swung into action. 4 nationwide mass distribution exercises to date, hand sanitizer distribution, food delivery services for the vulnerable, especially during the circuit breaker period, Trace Together token distribution, and most recently, CCs operating as community vaccination centers, reaching out to seniors and others to be vaccinated. A year ago, I'm not so sure any of us had pandemic response written in our work plans, but the networks, trusts, and bonds painstakingly built by PA and its volunteers over the years has allowed us to respond cohesively, quickly, and as one community during the pandemic. And this is the critical difference between our response here in Singapore and the responses we see elsewhere in the world. To achieve PA's mission, PA needs to be properly resourced. The $796 million budget comprises $207 million development budget, mainly to build and upgrade community clubs, and the remaining $589 million for operating expenditure. It is, however, not very meaningful, as the member suggests, to compare operating budget to headcounts, as $589 million includes both manpower as well as other operating expenditure. And much unlike other agencies like IRAS or GovTech, PA manages a whole host of community facilities all across Singapore, fully manned by full-time staff. And these include 108 CCs and 665 RC centres, which needs regular maintenance as well as other operating costs. So PA's budget allows it to carry on with its peacetime mission of providing our people, in the thousands every day actually, with activities that enrich them and which they enjoy. It also enables the building of the networks and communities, the relationships of trust. As a former grassroots leader myself, for 15 years in fact, I'm very proud of the work done by PA and its grassroots. As answered before in this chamber, the political affiliations of volunteers are not relevant to our consideration in a volunteer's participation in PA, because PA's mission is fundamentally focused on community building. So the social capital that we have built up over time, the harmony that we have, that we enjoy within our society, taking care of our residents, including our seniors and the vulnerable ones amongst us, the value of all these, I would say, to this House, are not easily quantifiable. MPA's role in peacetime and in crisis are inseparable. In many countries, people are quite divorced from the political and administrative machinery. They have difficulties knowing, much less understanding what goes on. Government is a distant, sometimes even alien entity. But in Singapore, we want to explain our policies, provide channels for communication between government and the people, because we believe that the government must be connected to the people. But why? Because we believe that nothing can be achieved if we don't get buy-in from our people. Singapore works only when government and people, businesses, unions, communities all come together. And PA exists to provide the social glue without which Singapore would have gotten nowhere. And the networks and bonds of trust that enable the PA to perform its role in peacetime are also what enable the PA to play a vital role in crisis. When a major government policy is announced, PA, together with grassroots advisors, goes to the ground, explains the policies, and that also includes conveying unpopular policies, hearing directly from residents about their concerns, so that we can actually allow them to voice their concerns, to allow government to tweak and adapt policies if needed. And these relationships of trust and comradeship that they have built bit by bit through good times and bad are what enable us to respond as one Singapore during the pandemic. And this is what the late Mr. S. Rajaratnam meant by a democracy of deeds. So the member can rest assured that the PA's budget we have set aside have been put to good use. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and there's no doubt that the PA has proven its worth in the past year.